In just day one of NFL free agency, I swear this was one of the biggest days and busiest days I've ever seen. My phone did not stop vibrating from anything Bleacher Report to ESPN to any of that stuff because it's absolutely unreal. Every time I refresh my Twitter feed, I felt like I was another 20 tweets deep between rumors for trades, free agencies, signings. We got franchise tags. We had a bunch of stuff that went down. Blake, were you even able to compose yourself half the time? Just being able to try to track everything that's going on?
I gotta tell you, it was hard being at work today. Uh, Man, I just want every time I got a break, I was checking Twitter, refreshing, seeing who's going where. There was so much stuff that could possibly happen. I think everyone had uh, kind of a scenario in their head that they thought was going to go through, and in most cases, I don't know if anyone was really right with all the stuff that's happened. I mean, a lot of stuff came out of left field today for me, but all in all, just such an interesting day, and can't wait to get into it.
We are going to break things down, and we're going to start with talking about a couple big time trades that went down. And the first trade of the day was probably one of the worst trades, arguably one of the worst trades in NFL history. It was shocking to say the least, and it only proves the fact that Bill Bryan is a goddamn moron, and he should not even be a head coach. He should definitely not be the GM. I don't think he should even be able to run the defense. This guy is an absolute moron, and he proved that here when the Texans traded away DeAndre Hopkins, and they also traded away a 2020 fourth round pick. And in return, they get washed up running back David Johnson from the Cardinals, along with a 2020 second round pick and a 2021 fourth round pick. Blake, I think you have a little bit to say about this one, don't you?
Yeah, there's just nothing that anybody could say to have this make sense to me. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins he's getting older for sure. Like that's one argument you could make towards, trying to get rid of him. But other than that, he's still playing like a dog every single game. I mean, that guy, his drop rate is out of this world. Never
Had like
drops a
three
ball.
drops
Him and
last season.
Hopkins, yeah, and that's a bad season for him, right? Like he
Mm-hmm.
hates that. Compare it to Amari Cooper, another top 10 wide receiver. He gets 12 drops in a year. It's a good season for him. So I mean, it's a huge comparison, really. But for David Johnson to come over for him, I mean, you're getting still like I guess a playmaker at some point, but he's not ever going to be that crazy. What was it, 2016 season?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when was the year that he went off? That
It was
I
that
can't remember. I
2016
think it was
year.
2016, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you're probably not going to get that. That's probably his peak, right? Like usually running
Mm-hmm.
backs, unless you're Adrian Peterson, you're not going to hit that 2,000 yard mark, randomly in your like eighth year of your
Right.
career. The second rounder is really nice, but again, like in my opinion, basically you traded DeAndre Hopkins for a second round pick,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't even get a fourth round pick. Like you're trading that and a fourth round pick of this year's draft for a second round pick of this year's draft, plus
Mm-hmm.
David Johnson, who's like no disrespect to guy, but not who I would want to get in return for DeAndre Hopkins.
No, no. There's a difference between DeAndre Hopkins, arguably the league's best wide receiver, and really the main reason that Deshaun Watson has the production that he has, and you're trading him for another running back. They already have three running backs on the roster right now. They had Lamar Miller, who did go down with the ACL injury, but Lamar Miller is a solid RB1. Carlos Hyde, not a bad RB2. Duke Johnson, decent RB2, really good RB3. And you're bringing a fourth running back on this roster. I know David Johnson had one really good season, and that season was phenomenal. But he's not worth it. This trade is nowhere near it. This is one of them trades that would get rejected almost immediately in Madden, or this is one of those trades that would get vetoed in the fantasy football league. This is not a trade that happens in the actual NFL. Who in their right mind actually offered this? Obviously, Bill Bryan is not in his right mind because he is an absolute dumpster fire.
Yeah,
And
that's really just weird because that's their most consistent playmaker, and you're
yeah,
getting rid of him for basically a guy
Jack.
that's often injured, right?
Yes.
So you're getting like we already have a guy in Will
At the end of
Fuller who
the
gets
end of
injured a
last season,
lot,
he
right?
wasn't even. Yeah, see, Blake, at the end of last season, he was in RB1. He
Right.
was
They got Kenyon
RB2 last
Drake.
year. Yeah, and Kenyon Drake was franchise tagged by the Cardinals today.
Mhm.
But dude, this doesn't make sense. You're trading a once in a lifetime athlete. You're trading away a generational athlete. You're trading away a Hall of Famer for someone that didn't even start at the end of last year. What are you doing?
It's a head scratcher.
No, it's the
That's
butt
that's
chin
one
strikes
that's one
again.
that's gonna we're gonna look back on, and either we're gonna be way right
Mhm.
or Bill O'Brien's gonna be slightly correct. Because I don't
Guess
think
is
there's any
it
way that
is it this
DeAndre
works?
Hopkins is gonna just he's always gonna be that guy. That's like you said, a Hall of Famer.
Mhm.
David Johnson, he might have another good year or two left in the tank, but it's not gonna be his peak.
Right, wide receivers also last in the league longer than running backs do. And
Hmm.
I think this whole trade only proves that the only professional team in Houston that knows what the hell they're doing is the Houston Roughnecks.
Well, it's going to make it really interesting too. Now in the draft, there's a lot of talk about. I know our guy Jalen. There's a lot of talk about CeeDee Lamb possibly going to the Cardinals. I
Not
think this
anymore.
completely changes it now, right? There's no way that they're going to
Now they
draft a wide
have to
receiver in the
draft
first
offensive
round.
line, right? I think they take O line now to
They
help
got
Kyler
their
Murray
running
out.
back, they got their receivers.
And they
Yeah. Now they got to shore up that line. Either
exactly.
that or get better on defense. So it's
It's
gonna
going to
it's
be
gonna
one of
change
those
the
two,
order of the
quarterback
draft
or
now. I
offensive
think
lineman.
it's gonna
I
it's
think
gonna
so
change
too.
when receivers go.
And the a way better trade was the next one on our list. A trade that was actually fair for both teams, and I think both teams you can actually argue for both teams that they won this trade. And this was the Niners saying DeForest Buckner to the Colts, and they got the Colts number 13 overall draft pick in return. And then after Buckner was traded, they then agreed to a $21 million a year deal, which does make DeForest Buckner the second highest paid defensive tackle in NFL history. Blake, well, what are your thoughts on this one?
I think it's a pretty fair deal for both teams. I think it's interesting that Buckner's now. I guess that's just what happens, right? When you're one of the first players of your draft or free agency class to sign, you're going to set the market as long as you have a good agent, of course. But the number 13th overall pick for Buckner a few years later after he's drafted, I think that's a good return still. It's not top 5 like Buckner was picked when the Niners selected him, but it's still like a top 15 pick for Buckner. You're not losing in that situation. They're still going to be able to add potentially a top tier talent. And in the first 13 picks of the draft, there's going to be a good guy available there, right?
Exactly.
So
It's
it's
not even just
interesting.
about what it does for this year, is well because they re-signed Eric Armstead to a big deal, and they're able to free up some cap space because next year when his contract runs out, they're going to pay George Kittle, and this does now free up. They were not going to be able to sign Eric Armstead, DeForest Buckner, and George Kittle all to big deals. It's just not going to happen. So they choose the two that they thought best. And instead of having to pay this guy that they're not going to be able to afford, they get a first round draft pick in return. I think it's a good deal for both teams.
Yep, I think the Niners they were looking forward to the future and they just knew that there was a choice that had to be made and they chose their guys that they wanted to stick with and Buckner gets a good landing spot as well to a potential contender seeing what happens with the Colts situation of course
I
at
think
QB that's
so.
most
But
interesting.
exactly. But the Colts are doing this to pick to kind of beef up that defense, and which is something that they need to do. And this DeForest Buckner is a beast on the interior D line. And this is really going to help them. Now they have a dog at both sides of the ball in the trenches. They have Quinn Nelson on the offensive line, who is my favorite offensive lineman in the league. He is a dog. He's just a vicious animal. He's really just a bully on the field. And now you got that same guy, same mentality, same physicality, same ability over on the defensive line. And if you control the trenches, you're going to control most games. And the Colts they're building their team the right way right now. And I think they're going to be contenders next season.
Yeah, I think it just depending like I said depending on even I guess even if what's his name Jacoby? Brissett.
Yeah,
Even if he's starting, they're gonna have a good chance. Just depending, of course, on Houston.
Jacoby isn't bad. He's not like a top tier quarterback, but he's not a bad quarterback. If he has his team around him, they're going to be able to do some good things. You know?
Yeah, and so far they're only adding; they're not really subtracting. So
No.
they got good pieces on offense with Marlon Mack. They got T.Y. Hilton still. They got good pieces on defense, adding Buckner. Their linebacker. Who's their linebacker?
Their linebacker that was all pro in his first year, led the NFL in tackles in his first year. The dude, and also great guy off the field.
Darius Leonard, right? Is that his name?
Darius Leonard. I saw him helping a lot of tweets, like helping someone with their broken down car and all that stuff. Great guy on and off the field. And the Colts are building talent, and they're building fairly young talent as well. So the Colts are prepping for next year, but they're also prepping for the next 5 years, which is a great way to plan out the future. They're like I said, they're building this the right way.
Yeah, and I was actually wondering, so they must be going after a free agent quarterback, considering they traded their 13th overall pick. Unless they don't have a second, they don't have a second first round pick.
No, they don't. I think that's something we'll get into in a sec. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
So moving on from the trades, let's move to the franchise tags that was tagged the Cardinals. The offensive end. This was expected. His last year's athlete, he had like 18 and a half, I believe, and he had a good year. I loved him when he was Denver, but the Denver just couldn't resign him because of Miller, and they drafted Bradley Chubb, and they saw pass rushers. And Shaq was great backup, but he's not a backup. Obviously, he's one of the best pass rushers in the league, and he didn't want to be a backup anymore. No hard that. I was really happy that he did as well as he did last year. I thought that he was the most underrated player in the league. I have a lot of respect for the talent he does, and this is a great move by the Bucs. But the one thing with this now is that means that Jameis Winston is going to hit the open market. And I do believe that this means that Jameis Winston is not going to be playing at Tampa Bay next year.
Yeah, I don't think that's far out of the imagination, right? It doesn't seem like they're totally. He's had what, 2 years now with Bruce Arians, or was that his first?
That was his first year. And Bruce Arians is also one that said we can win with anyone. We can win if we can win with Jameis, we can win with anyone.
Oh man, he just had LASIK surgery. We'll see what's going on.
Myself. He was historical with the NFL's very first 30 for 30 season with 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. Really good stuff by him. And I put for later, but if you don't know what they're not down, and with the Titans signing Ryan Tannehill to the extension, Tom Brady is going to be the Tampa Bay Buck NFL season. How did that one sound?
You think that Tom Brady's going to be a Tampa Bay Buck?
Tom Brady is going down to Tampa. He's going to be slinging that ball under Bruce Arians' offense to Chris Godwin and Mike Evans.
I wouldn't mind seeing that. Man, that'd be some sweet receivers, right?
Right. Because what he's going to do is going to go back to the Patriots, who have nowhere near the wide receiver talent that the Bucs do, right? And the Bucs are building a defense right now too.
Man, that would be interesting for sure. They don't have who's their running back? They got Roy Jones Jr., right? Mm-hmm. Or something like that. He was from USC. Roy Jones, I don't remember his name. Ronald Jones. I think it's Ronald Jones.
Ronald Jones.
They got Peyton Barber. So I mean that's the only question mark, I guess, is we don't know who their running backs are. But Godwin and Mike Evans, Tom Brady throwing to those two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got Ronald Jones, the second, not junior. He's the second, and they got Peyton Barber, right, like you said, they're good. They're decent, you know, but you got those guys in defense, especially with Vita Vea there taking the middle of the defensive line. OJ Howard's not a bad tight end to have as well. Better than
Now,
better than Green up in Foxborough. That's for
OJ
sure.
Howard is highly touted in Bucks territory. I know that. I've seen Bruce Arians come out and say that he thinks he's one of the best tight ends in the league when healthy. But that's the thing, is when healthy.
When healthy is good. Also, last year we remember they drafted Devin White in the first round, who is a solid linebacker, and he does have a promising future ahead of him. So, if Brady wants to win, I think he might be able to win with the Bucks. And
possibly, but he doesn't. Remember, he doesn't throw as far as he used to, though. So that's the only thing, is like these guys. I feel like they're more like deep threat guys. I mean, I know that they can run anything that they want. They're just god tier receivers.
Like, who else is? I think the two teams that Brady can realistically sign with, not including the Patriots, it's probably the Colts or the Bucks. Maybe I
don't see the Bucks, because the Bucks. He needs to have a balanced offense. The Bucks have the most talent. He needs to have a balanced offense. He's not going to be able to throw the ball 50 times.
So you don't think Brady's going? Where do you think Brady? As of right now, where's Tom Brady going to sign?
Not with the Bucks.
If you had to bet your life savings on a team right now, who is he signing with next year?
I think realistically, I think he's going back to the Patriots. But if it has to be a team besides the Patriots, man, Tennessee signed Tannehill, so they're out.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see them. I don't see him going to the Bucks. That's just so far fetched to me.
So Colts or Chargers.
Raiders are out. Thank God.
Raiders are out.
I don't know.
There's still a question, I guess.
I just really think that he's going to the New England Patriots, and that's just about it.
That's fair. I mean, more than likely now it's looking like he'll just stay pat, but that's boring, and I don't like that. I know we really got off topic, but we're still on purpose. Next one, the Chiefs did test. Bring it back if they want to still have some teams next year. Because the Steelers, they did their out linebacker Bud Dupree. He's coming off a career high 11.5 sacks last year. Realistically, he was the best one for them to actually use their franchise tag on, and I think that's for AJ corrected. Their depth. Joe Burrow was not. But now he's pretty much guaranteed to go because remember you're telling me about this, Blake, that he even tweeted in some that they need to have AJ Green for him to have any sort of success there. You know?
Yeah, I definitely think that AJ Green was a priority for the Bengals to have him get re-signed, especially if they wanted to add a number one QB. You know, you got to have a reliable target there. Now they got several. I would say they got Tyler Boyd. They got AJ Green. So, I mean, he's going to have a plethora of options there to throw to.
Plethora. Good word.
He's got Joe Mixon in the backfield. So he's going to have some pieces to lean on, right? It's not just going to be all him when he comes in. The thing that they really need to shore up is that O-line. It's going to be interesting to see how he comes in. And, you know, because me and my brother-in-law, we were actually talking about this at dinner on Friday. He just had last year was that perfect season, right? The season before that, mediocre, right? Mediocre to above average. So
last season, yeah, he was above average before then. And last season, he just has statistically the greatest quarterback performance in college football history.
Right, and that pushed him past Tua, right? Like a shooting star.
And also the hip injury to Tua did not help as well.
Yeah, right. That lowered his stock as well, which is just tough. Out of his hands too, you know. Luckily he's gonna have a full recovery. Everyone's saying, all the doctor experts are saying. So it's gonna be interesting to compare those two. Draft day. Yeah,
I agree.
It's gonna be interesting to compare those two careers, though. You know, kind of like who did Andrew Luck come out with? Was that RG3?
Yep. It was him
Right.
and
Just kind of
RG3.
seeing the different career paths. Like maybe Andrew Luck had the higher pinnacle of success, right? But RG3 is still in the league.
My life's choice, but I think it's good. The Bengals need to tag AJ Green. The Browns are making some moves today because they go ahead and they franchise tag Derrick Henry after they re-sign Ryan Tannehill to a multi-year deal, a $62 million guaranteed, and they're moving ahead with him. So they got the long-term deal with Tannehill. So they used a franchise tag on Derrick Henry, assuming that they were going to either out of one of the two, they were going to tap one and sign one. And this is exactly what they did. And they just went with the quarterback who's like, we go with great and choose to sign Ryan Tannehill. If we go back 2 years, what do you who tells you that? If that happens 2 years in the future, I think you probably put them in the loony bin if they tried to tell you some stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, Tannehill and Derrick Henry on the same team. That's definitely something that I never saw coming. But it's a good combination. I mean, I'm glad that they both were able to get their money. I know the Honey Badger last night was freaking. What was it? Last night or this morning? He was freaking out because Tannehill got paid.
He was pissed about it.
Yeah, which is
pissed
blows
about
my
Tannehill
mind.
getting paid. But it's stupid because Derrick Henry, that franchise tag is still worth like $20 million.
Right. He's gonna get top 5 paid money. Yeah.
And then they're still probably gonna work towards a long-term deal through the season.
Absolutely.
So I think it's totally fine with what they're doing. I think this is great because Derrick Henry did contribute heavily to Ryan Tannehill's success, and having both of them together it's great. It's great that they have. That's exactly who I thought they should keep together, and that's what they did. The team that the Titans did the right thing when it comes to their quarterback. The Cowboys did not. The Cowboys choose to use their franchise tag on Dak Prescott as they could not reach a long-term deal before the tagging period opened. So this does mean Amari Cooper is going to hit the open market. And Dak really should have taken that $33 million a year offer. Like, dude, this really kind of backfired on him, didn't it?
How so? Why do you think it backfired?
It backfired because he's getting a 1-year prove-it deal pretty much, and he's not getting as much.
A 1-year prove-it deal. He's getting franchise tagged.
But he's making less money on the franchise tag than if he would have made more money if he just accepted the $33 million a year, and he would have been long term.
Do we know how much is he getting? Did they release the numbers today on how much that franchise tag is worth for his salary?
He might have.
Because I'd like to see what he got, because from my understanding, franchise tag means you're getting paid in like the top 5-year position.
He might. When it's a year, I don't know if a lot of people are sold on Dak Prescott in the first place, and so it might be better for him to try to get a year that locks him up for multiple years instead of just his 1 year, because if he has another average season to below average season, I don't know if he's not going to demand that $35 million a year that he was asking for, maybe even more. I don't know. Do you think I'm guessing? I don't know, man. I don't know, because I think it would have been better to try to get that long-term deal with Dak. I think they were trying to do that, but and then tag Amari Cooper. But Amari Cooper does still want to be a Dallas Cowboy, so that's going to help them with that. You know, those are pretty much the biggest franchise tags. If we're going to extensions now, there was a couple contracts that were picked up, a couple people were extended. As we mentioned, Eric Armstead got re-signed to the Niners. That deal is a 5-year deal, and it's worth up to $85 million. Big time money for Eric Armstead, but he does deserve it because they did a lot of work with our front seven in San Francisco, and that's really what got them to the Super Bowl. Obviously, it wasn't Jimmy G that got them there. It was defense and run game and coaching that didn't just strip away every game. Kansas City picks their $2.3 million option for running back Damian Williams. He did great in the Super Bowl, and he did good all year. And I think this is a good move by Casey. The one thing I was a little confused by, and maybe not totally sold by, was the Vikings' year extension to Kirk Cousins. And that 2-year extension is worth another $66 million. He is slated to make 96 like 3 years. And that's a lot of money. I think this is a good move by Vikings.
I think so. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of money, but if that's the guy that they wanted to keep around, then why not? He had like one more year on his contract, I think, because he signed a 3-year contract before, right? Almost fully guaranteed. So, man, his agent's really good though, huh? He makes a lot of money. He makes a lot of money, dude.
Kirk Cousins making all that money, guaranteed money. His 80% off. His agent is rolling in it right now. Sweet damn, Kirk got to get paid. I actually had when he was signed, I had a little conversation with a couple Vikings fans over the Twitterverse, which is something you guys can all follow. It's almost historical right now. I asked the question I was asking to the Vikings fans if they are okay with this deal, if Cousins is worth it. And I got that in their opinion, he is maybe not worth $66 million over 2 years, $96 million over 3 years, but he's worth a decent chunk of money because when they're able to protect him and give him time in the pocket, he is one of the league's top pocket passers when it's clean. Not clean, that's a different story. Also, different story. But this, I think, it's something that it's not. Stefon Diggs has been traded to the Buffalo Bills. Oh, damn. That changes a lot. Stefon Diggs was tweeting earlier that he wants a change of scenery, change of pace, and that he kind of leaked that he was going to be traded, but to the Bucks or to the Bills, sorry. Wow.
A first-round pick, a fifth-round pick, and a sixth-round pick, and a fourth-round pick in 2021.
That's all the Bills are giving up for him?
First, fifth, and sixth pick in this year's draft, and a fourth-round pick in next year's draft.
And they're only getting Stefon Diggs.
Dude, that's a damn good trade, I think.
Oh, the Vikings trade. Actually, the trade because we gotta remember Adam Thielen is the number one wide receiver most of the time, and Stefon Diggs was also the one complaining, having the sideline issues with this. I think the Vikings just made a great damn deal.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, now they have a chance in the so-called projected to be deepest receiver class yet.
Yeah,
or at least in recent memory. So there's going to be a really good player available to them, and they just added another asset in the first round.
The mid-20s, around mid to late 20s. So at that point, you could still get a good receiver.
Possibly Ruggs. What if Ruggs falls down there?
I think he falls that far, but it's deep enough where they're going to be able to still pick up someone good. Yeah, he could.
But even if it's not Ruggs, there's still going to be so many other receivers that are going to be just as intriguing.
I love having some breaking news during recording. Sweet damn, that just wow. No, I love it because you hear literally our interactions from that. We have no time to think about it. And Vikings won that trade. I'm gonna say the Vikings did win that trade. But we're gonna finish up extensions when that happened. Big time free agency signings happened today. Let's talk. And there's a couple Brown signings. They signed former Atlanta Falcons tight end Austin Hooper to a 4-year, $44 million contract with 23 guaranteed. And this does make Austin Hooper the highest paid in NFL right now. And this means that George Kittle is going to get paid even more than this next year. And I think it's a good sign for the Browns. Obviously, that is going to get some money to sign Austin Hooper. The Falcons didn't want to re-sign him and let him hit the open market. But this is going to be good for Baker to really get a solid tight end because I already had Jarvis Landry. They already had Odell Beckham. Now they get a good tight end for a nice middle threat in the middle, nice threat in the middle of the field. I think it's a good move by them.
Yeah, I like it as well.
But they also signed former Redskins quarterback, former Broncos quarterback, former Vikings quarterback, Case Keenum. They signed him to a 3-year, $18 million deal with $10 million guaranteed. Because that's a lot of money. Quarter. So it is something big. No way, right?
I think that this is just to solidify the backup role, but definitely it's supposed to push Baker, I think, too. It's going to push him in a way that I don't think he's been pushed yet in his career because there's just been not really any other options with the Browns for the past 2 years, right?
Don't disrespect Tyrod like that, bro. Sorry. We found out that it was Tyrod Taylor is proper pronunciation. Apologies.
Yeah, but that died real fast.
Yeah, dude.
You know, you got to have a scheme that's just completely tuned to him. You know, he could be a good backup to he could go over there with the Ravens. That would be interesting again, right?
Yeah,
Did he come from there?
No, he came from the Bills, remember? But
for some reason, I thought he started his career in the Ravens, went to the Bills, and then.
Honestly,
I might be wrong.
I do agree with your point that this is going to push Baker. He's actually going to be the starter next year, but it does provide some good competition for Baker. And there's nothing wrong with competition, because competition bring out the best in everyone. A couple more. The Broncos, they do sign former Lion offensive guard Graham Glasgow to a 4-year, $44 million contract after a career year. And talking from personal taste, we're okay with this signing. The Broncos need an offensive line. They need to replace Connor McGovern. They need to really sharpen the offensive line to put some good protection from Drew Lock, because he's a quarterback of the future. And he did get the thumbs up. This signing was approved by Broncos offensive line coach Mike Munchak, who is a possible Hall of Famer for a coach. And so I'm totally okay with this one because they need to spend some money on the offensive line.
Yeah, they overpaid.
I guess we'll see. Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Big time overpaid.
For Saints, former Seahawks, former Packers tight end Jimmy Graham to 2-year contract worth $16 million with this is going to be fine for them. So that they needed a threat in the middle of the field. Jimmy Graham still has some left in the tank. It's kind of a costly contract, but that was kind of the theme of today's signings. There's a lot of big money being thrown around.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that contract, but he is definitely still an offensive weapon. I'd say not as consistent probably and as potent as he once was, but he's definitely still a weapon. He can definitely get you some touchdowns in the red zone still.
I think he could still be making some plays. He's a good physical guy to have catching the ball as well.
Yeah.
A couple signs for Blake. Right before he went on, the Raiders, earlier today, the Raiders signed former Bears linebacker Nick Kwiatkowski. Correct? That is a funny word, but he should be a good signing. But more importantly, though, the Raiders former Titans quarterback Marcus Mariota. We do not have information on the year or the month yet. Marcus Mariota is a quarterback, probably a backup. But the same thing for the Browns. He's likely a backup, but he could provide some competition for that starting spot. What do you think, Blake? What's happening over there in the desert?
I think it's like you said. It's basically the same situation with Case Keenum and Baker Mayfield. It is going to be a competition. Like Derek Carr can make no mistake. He needs to come out and show everyone on that team like this is my team. I'm if this is the guy that I have to compete with, and I'm going to make sure that I beat him out. And I do think that Derek Carr is a more talented thrower than Mariota, so I think that he will beat him out. But I really like the addition, just improving the overall talent of the QB room, because Derek Carr has been injured a couple of times. He's gone down, and the people that have replaced him have been awful. Matt McGloin, Connor Cook, EJ Manuel.
Matt McGloin had great success in the 2-3 games he played in with the XFL. And then Connor got beaten out for a starting spot.
But you get the point I'm making. I mean, this just improves
haven't had anyone backing up Derek Carr.
Yeah, this just improves our quarterback room. So now we're gonna have we have a little insurance policy we have some car insurance, if you will, just in case he gets injured again. And that just, in my opinion, makes our team a little bit better. I don't want him to come in and be the starter.
Like that's the YouTube video for this part of the show.
We got some car insurance.
That's a t-shirt right there. I think you should market that one. But
I think that's already been coined by the O-line.
Spot for Marcus as well.
Yeah, I think so too. He's gonna get a chance to come in and compete, which everyone wants to at least have a chance, right? And if you're at least offering him a chance, then that's gonna keep the fun in it, I think. So it'll be a good match, I believe.
Does bring, hopefully maybe with this year we'll get the best version of Derek Carr. And it is from fan standpoint, is exactly what you want to see. The Lions today, they signed linebacker Jimmy Collins, former Pats linebacker, and then he was also with the Browns as well. I think this is a good signing for the Lions to bolster that defense. He does Matt Patricia, and he did thrive in that defense. And it's good that Matt is getting a former player, because he knows him and he knows how to make him the best player he can be. And so this is a good signing by the Lions.
Adds a defensive playmaker to their team, which they're most likely losing Slay, so that definitely helps them in that regard.
Darius Slay is probably out, and shoot, credit to whoever team that could get him in the trade. Some other news, then I think the team that was easily made the most signings and the big signings today was the Miami Dolphins, who were going all around the line. They had 4 signings today. They signed offensive guard Eric Flowers, 3 year, $30 million, about $20 million guaranteed after a career year. Dolphins signed Byron Jones, former Cowboys cornerback. This was Alan Schefter's #1 free agent this year. They made him the highest paid cornerback in NFL history after signing him to a 5-year, $82.5 million contract with $57 million guaranteed. And with this, that is back-to-back seasons that they have a quarterback and made them the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. The Dolphins also signed former Pats linebacker Kyle Denoy, 4-year, $51 million. And then they signed Shaq Lawson, former pass rusher, who did have success. Blake. Dolphins dropping some cold, hard cash on some big-time free agent acquisitions. What do you think of their game so far?
They're trying to infuse talent by any means necessary, it looks like, and free agency is obviously the first choice that they have to make additions to their team. They're going guns blazing, that's for sure. I mean, the Byron Jones cornerback, he's really good at covering guys and locking people down, but given that kind of money to a guy that just doesn't get interceptions, I don't know. That's kind of hard for me to
a little bit of a gamble,
come to terms with. But I mean, it is nice to it's kind of like a prime Nnamdi Asomugha, right? Like where he just locks down a side of the field. So it's really just how valuable do you have that in your mind? Like how much do you value that cover ability? So if they value that cover ability that high,
value pretty well.
Yeah, then that's great for them. But I mean, they're also they're eating up a lot of cap space with these moves. So they're gonna have to make sure that these guys mesh well. It's kind of, you never know with guys coming from a bunch of different teams, a bunch of different philosophies, a bunch of different playbooks. You never know how they're gonna react to their new environment. So it'll be interesting to see, are they gonna be like an Eagles team where they sign all these free agents and then just totally crap the bed, or are they gonna Maybe craft a
now
little
they
something special.
They got a few solid cornerbacks. Because remember that they traded the Rams and Dolphins traded Aqib Talib to the Dolphins, and Aqib Talib was injured last year, so he didn't really play for the Dolphins. He was just there collecting paycheck. But now with this signing, they have Byron Jones, Xavier Howard, who they had to pay quarterback last year, and Aqib Talib, all a cornerback. You can even flex Aqib Talib to safety. I think they're building a solid backfield or solid defensive backfield right there. Then you got Rashawn Jones right there. Bill, I think they have a good defense there.
Yeah, they got some good players back there now. That's for sure.
Cedric, the Parkers don't have to worry about the Dolphins next year because remember they're supposed to be crap, then they finished up not doing half last year. I think we got to worry about the Dolphins because right now they're going all in, and we still have to remember that they have 3 first-round draft picks in this year's draft. 3.
Hey, who's their quarterback though? I forgot.
Ryan Fitzmagic.
Yeah, I'm not worried about them.
But who knows if they're able to? They have like 8 draft picks this year, 3 in the first round. They're picking up all these guys on defense. I think the Dolphins. I mean, they're going. I'll say it now. The Dolphins are making the playoffs next season.
Okay, we're gonna have to cut that. We're gonna have to cut that and save that. Put that in the vault.
Without going so right, I could put it everywhere because, especially, we'll talk about it on Wednesday. Makes HCBA plus 17, and so this is easier for the Dolphins to make it. Dolphins are making the playoffs next year. Let's move on to some other news. We got the Falcons running back Von Freeman. He's going to be picked soon by a team back, but with this move, they're taking $3 million worth of cap space. There's some rumors around the league right now concerning the Bears. Teddy Bridgewater is in talks with the Bears to become the starter quarterback in a decent chunk of a contract, and I think this could be a good pickup for him. I think Teddy would be a starter there. Mitch Trubisky would be going to the bench. Or if you want to be like the Browns and be like the Raiders and bring in someone to compete against Mitch Trubisky for that starting spot, hopefully push both of the quarterbacks. The Bears are also looking into trades for either. And so I think no matter what happens, Mitch Trubisky is going to be competing for a starting spot next year. What are you in your head?
Bears are just so trash. They're getting fleeced every which way. I mean, they can't win a trade, can't pick a quarterback, they can't sign a good quarterback. I mean, man, and they're going to try and trade Khalil Mack possibly. That's another rumor I'm hearing.
Oh, no way. No way.
It's unreal. Like, imagine if they really try and trade Khalil Mack. That would be, man.
That'd be the dumbest thing they could do.
I don't know what they're doing over there in Chicago.
After fleecing the Raiders, too.
They didn't fleece us for nothing.
Well,
we fleeced them. The only thing that I said was an L that we took in that trade was giving them our second rounder. That was the only L we took.
Yeah. I do agree with you.
Because there was no reason for that. Like, are you kidding me? Seeing what people have been getting traded for like lately, like Minkah Fitzpatrick. You're crazy.
Stupid.
Khalil Mack is a double. He's a like two position in the same year All Pro. Who does that? Nobody. Khalil Mack, get out of here.
Von Miller did that. That's the one thing Khalil Mack has over Von Miller. But you want to know what Von Miller has over Khalil Mack?
Probably a lot more sacks.
MVP.
Oh yeah, MVP. Yeah. That's cool with me though.
Bears doing it. Yeah, it is. Couple things coming out of LA with the Rams. Todd Gurley there's a couple guys that are rumored to be on the trade block. We had Todd Gurley possibly on the trade block. Brandon Cooks also on the trade block.
Poor guy.
Both those guys, you can get good value for both. I feel like you're going to get more value for Brandon. Todd Gurley, obviously not.
Can we talk about Brandon Cooks for just a quick second and how he just gets traded all the time and just has crazy success wherever he goes?
This is going to be his third different trade, I think. Oh,
yeah, because he started on the Saints.
Real quick, don't mean to interrupt. What I was talking about with Mark Cooper probably
so
getting extension with the Cowboys.
That was so rude.
Blake, won't deal with it. Amari Cooper intends to re-sign with the Cowboys, and they're looking at a 5-year, $100 million deal.
Wow, I'm hearing Bucks are first in line for Tom Brady.
The Bills are really more than likely going to sign a $100 million contract with the Cowboys. They're going to move with the Cowboys. Amari Cooper did want to stay in Dallas anyway, and I think this is a good move for both of them. This does give Dak that deep threat, and he still has Zeke. This is a good move. Good move for the Cowboys. This is exactly what I thought would happen: is they were franchise tag one, sign long term the other. Exactly what they did.
5 years for $100 million for Amari Cooper. $20 million a year.
Money. That's a lot.
Gotta be tripping.
That's overpay. That is a
gotta
overpay.
Be tripping. So what your core is Amari, Dak, and Zeke. Okay. Not too scared. I mean, but then again, Dak, if they keep the franchise tag on Dak, he is removable. So So yeah, I mean, I guess if you really believe in Zeke and Amari that much, I believe in Zeke, but Amari,
he had a great season. Like not to undersum, he had a great season, but $100 million is a lot of money, especially for a wide receiver. This year is going to be damn interesting. Going back to the rumors though, before we were so really interrupted by ESPN, and the Colts considering signing Philip Rivers. And this was something I was talking about earlier when news was first coming out. Philip Rivers, it could be a good fit. It could be a decent veteran presence, and maybe as a backup to Jacoby. Who knows? Maybe actually starting. I think it's fine if they sign Philip Rivers. I don't think it's anything blockbuster, but I think it's decent.
Yeah, I mean, he's an old man, so he's going to run into the same problems that he was running into with the Chargers. Because look at the Chargers. The offense wasn't the problem with the Chargers. Not really the offense, but the pieces around Philip Rivers, that wasn't the problem. It was kind of Philip Rivers' decision making and kind of his accuracy and arm strength. We're kind of coming a little bit into question. The one advantage that does come with Indianapolis is the fact that they're aggressively building their defense, and it looks like they're trying to add more pieces to the offense. At least I would hope so. So he would be coming into a really good situation. But again, I just think it's so similar. Like he had no excuse with the Chargers. He had no excuse not to succeed. Even last year, everyone was saying that they could be a sneaky playoff team because their defense is crazy good over there. So he's going to be a marketable face that everyone's going to recognize and know. But is he going to perform very well?
It depends. It all depends on the amount of money they're going to be paying him.
He's in a dome, eight games a year, right? Because they're in a dome.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool, right? Doesn't that help them?
He's actually going to have a home crowd if he goes to Indianapolis.
True.
A good home crowd at that too. It all depends on the contract. But bad news coming out of Philip Rivers, not in football, from the CDC recommending not having a congregation more than 10 people. So what this means is that Philip Rivers and his kids cannot all be in the same room at the same time. Otherwise, he will be breaking that 10-person limit.
Oh man.
That's why
it's the risk you take when you have so many kids.
Dude, he's going
breaking laws.
Breaking laws, man.
That's why he's still
just
a free
to wrap
agent.
up though. Just to wrap this up, just a couple of takeaways from today. The Titans were able to secure their offense, and the Cowboys now were able to secure their offense. Colts are making big moves to really bolster up that defense. But the Dolphins are clearly the winner and the biggest playmaker from today's action as they push. They're pushing really hard to become a contender in 1 year. They're probably going to get Tua Tagovailoa. Going to be a great acquisition at that quarterback spot with one of their 3 first-round draft picks. And they have a lot of draft stock. They had some big free agent signings today. They're using that cap space effectively. And I think the Dolphins, like I said earlier, they will be a playoff team come next season if we get the season.
However many games that they miss, however many games they miss the playoffs by is the amount of time they slap you in the face.
Deal.
Boom. Virtual handshake.
Hey, crazy ass day today, dude. And it was nonstop action. And for not having sports, this sufficed. This sufficed very well.
It was intriguing to say the least.
To say the least.
Satisfied my thirst for some type of entertainment, sports related.
I'd say so. That was a crazy ass day. That was only day one. But we thank you guys for listening to our kind of wrap up and recap and analysis of what happened today. We will have the day after that this show will go live. Make sure we do have a website, www.thefourthandlong.com. Go check it out. You can find all of our stuff on there. You can find contact information and all the good stuff. We are advertising if you want to be an advertiser, or if you'd like to even have something you want on the show, or if you'd like to serve as a guest on the show, go to the website. Once again, that's www.thefourthandlong.com. Go check it out. Find out our social medias. Everything will be linked. We thank you guys so much for listening today, and we will catch you guys in the weekly podcast.